Hi, it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another episode of Waz Reviews. Well, I can't say I had a new Endless Ocean game after almost 15 years on my 2024 card, but suffice to say, when it was announced, I was pleased. Now, you all know me and how much I love ocean games. If it induces thalassophobia, I'm in. I love the first two Endless Ocean games, and I even reviewed the first one on my channel. Still need to do a review on Blue World, though. It is a pretty good game. Both games involved exploring the ocean and interacting with various marine life with a story that held it together. Both are exactly the kind of game I would love, but I never got the impression that either Endless Ocean game was super popular. In fact, I was probably the only person I knew that even owned the games. So, I didn't exactly expect another Endless Ocean game would ever be made. Enter Endless Ocean Luminous. I was surprised to hear about another Endless Ocean game being released, let alone one that was going to be released in a couple months after its announcement, but nevertheless, I was on board. But making a third game after so many years of inactivity is a bit tricky. Shenmue 3 did alright considering it was basically an indie game, while Siberia 3, well, the less said about it the better. So how did Endless Ocean Luminous fare? Let's talk about it. Slap on your scuba gear and prepare to dive again into the sea. This is Endless Ocean Luminous. But before I go further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. And if you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a member. Be great to have you aboard. Alright, let's start this game. Wait, I'm already diving? I didn't even press a new game button.
Testing communication systems.
Oh crap, is this game talking to me? And it knows my name? What is going on?
Mr. Data, what the hell happened?
Well, the first game has you create a passport where you select your gender and hairstyle, and the second game has you play through the game a little bit before changing things like hair color. Luminous just throws you into the water where you're a generic diver. In fact, there's very little in the way of customization in this game. You can change the color of your diving suit and gear and put stickers on, but that's about it. As you level up, you'll unlock the ability to add more stickers to your attire, as well as purchase emotes to put in your profile. I did manage to customize my diver throughout the game, but in the end, it ended up feeling a bit impersonal because I never saw the person underneath the diving mask, so it was hard for me to identify with my diver. But anyways, the game starts you with tutorials on how to play the game. Similar to any other Endless Ocean game, you swim your way through the Veiled Sea, scanning the various life beneath the waves and salvaging any hidden treasure. The animals are coated with a shroud of light that gets collected during scanning, which is what makes you level up and unlock different stuff to buy, sticker slots, and the ability to swim with bigger fish. When viewing a fish, you can choose to take its picture, read up on some fish facts, or tag it to track its location on your map. New animals you encounter will be added to your log, and you're encouraged to discover all that the sea has to offer. All 578 of them. And what kinds of sea life will you find? One fish, two fish, red fish, and even blue fish. All kinds of animals live beneath the waves of the Veiled Sea, as well as a variety of habitats for the fish to inhabit. Explore a coral reef section of the game, and you'll run into plenty of tangs. Blue tangs, powdered blue tangs, even yellow tangs. Royal angelfish, butterfly fish, and even some goldies. Head out into the open ocean, and you'll run into all kinds of sharks, dolphins, orcas, and even whales.
Admiral, there be whales here!
Come on, y'all have been on my channel enough to know that clip was making it into this review. You'll even run into schools of fish, turtles, rays, and even eels. And we've only just scratched the surface. Dive into trenches, and you'll run into all kinds of strange animals that barely see the light of day. And for good reason. They're terrifying! Except this white zebra shark. It's happy to see me. You might even happen upon the remains of long-forgotten shipwrecks and ancient civilizations. Perfect for finding, what the hell is that? I mean, this can't be real. There is no way something that terrifying exists. Oh. Well, it doesn't exist anymore. That's right, you can find prehistoric marine life peacefully living in the Veiled Sea, among some non-extinct species. Yes, the silver arowana is still alive and well in South America.
I was created on a planet, Data, South America.
All sorts of giant mollusks, squids, fish, and even the Loch Ness Monster's grandpappies swim alongside each other across different eras gone by, living in harmony. And yes, you'll even find the very much still alive coelacanth swimming around in these parts too. Now, if you're worried about swimming next to the likes of a great white shark without getting your head bitten off, Luminous follows the way of the first Endless Ocean game, where the animals are all chill and won't attack you. Heck, level up, and you can even let a great white shark accompany you on your dive.
If I ever get out of this, I'm gonna make you into a stew!
What I like about this is that it makes the game a more relaxing experience where you're not constantly worried about dying, as opposed to the second game, which had a more adventure feel and animals could attack you. Different strokes for different diving folks. You'll also run into special rare fish and UMLs, or unidentified marine life, in addition to plain old regular fish. After all, the ocean is full of mysteries. Rare fish are usually unique versions of existing animals, typically a mutated version with a different color or a bit larger than usual. Some of these rare fish are references to the first two games, like the Okeano's Guardian and Singing Dragons from the second game, and even the Ancient Mother from the first game. I do like these little references to the first two games, but it does kind of diminish the discoveries of each of those species in the first two games, which are supposed to be incredible discoveries that could turn the scientific world upside down. In this game, they're just swimming around like it's no big deal. When your indicator starts blinking orange, that means a UML is in the area. However, it can be tricky to find UMLs. You have to scan several different fish with unusual readings before it's ready to make its appearance. And that could mean that you'll have to traverse the entire map looking for orange markers on your map. Sometimes you'll happen upon those fish pretty quickly, but other times you'll end up having to explore most of the map, which can be a little tedious. Not to mention finding the right fish, which, more often than not for me, involves going in circles in a particular orange zone for much longer than I would care to admit. But then you'll come face to face with basically giant versions of already known animals. Giant coelacanth, giant seal, giant pelican. What the hell is that?
I do not know what that is, sir.
Okay, so the occasional unique animal. Now, discovering these creatures should mean something. You should feel accomplished in finding something so rare, so new, so large that you can't miss it, and how were these hidden all these years? But it kinda doesn't. It's just another entry in the logbook. In the first two games, when you found something big, there was a sense of wonderment, a little piece of the overall story uncovered. This just feels like finding another animal. Also, I can't be the only one who thought the crown-wearing seal was a bit silly. Heck, finding the Coca-Cola polar bear would be less silly. Finding Charlie the tuna from Sunkissed would be more believable.
Sorry, Charlie. Only good-tasting tuna get to be star-kissed.
Speaking of polar bears, something that I noticed was that there were some fairly well-known animals that I've come to expect in Endless Ocean that were completely absent in this game. Animals that were featured in the first two games. Manatees, penguins, pelicans, and other aquatic birds. Heck, even seals and sea lions. Not in this game. Granted, the first two games let you walk on land or on your boat to find some of these creatures, a feature that's also absent in this game. But you can still find them in the water. Maybe they just wanted to focus on animals that live in the water for this game, but I miss being able to see some of these animals. And of course, to find these animals, you need to start up a dive. Each diving map has different types of terrain you can explore. For example, you might have a map that contains a coral reef, a trench, and even caves, among other types of surroundings to get lost in. However, you can only explore one map at a time, and each map is randomly generated with a dive code, which I really don't like. Personally, I like to be able to flip back and forth between different surroundings. In the previous games, if I got tired of exploring one area, I could simply move on to another and come back later. I can't do that with this game, because if I go and start a new dive rather than continue my current one, I lose all my progress, even if I return to that map with the dive code. Heck, the only way to even revisit an area is to take down your dive code by either a screenshot or the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. This game doesn't save any of the maps you visited. We're talking a triple whammy here. I can't flip back and forth between maps, I lose all my progress if I leave my current map, and I have to record dive codes on my own. I get wanting to make the game interesting by randomly generating maps, but oh, I really don't like this. I'll take the old format of a set map any day. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you might notice how I've been avoiding talking about the story. After all, I like a good story in my video games. Well, there's a reason for this. The actual gameplay and story are almost completely divorced from each other. See, as you go on dives and scan animals, you'll unlock different chapters in story mode, a separate section of the menu. Each chapter is basically like a mini dive where you do easy tasks and uncover more of the story, and I really don't like this for multiple reasons. In the first two games, you would go on dives at your own pace, and as you filled certain requirements, you'd unlock cutscenes that would not only reveal more of the story, but also the characters in the game, their personality, their backstories, even why they do things the way that they do. And then you would unlock new areas to explore. Maybe you could only explore coral reefs in the beginning, but then you would get a grant for some new equipment to explore trenches or to explore the site of an ancient sunken city. In Luminous, you can potentially explore every kind of map the game has to offer without furthering the story. Early on in my playthrough, I had already explored ancient ruins and trenches, and because it's not gradually revealed, the wonder of exploring these areas isn't built up and ends up being pretty underwhelming. What am I really working towards? There's nothing that stops me from uncovering the mysteries of the deep from the start of the game. The pacing is just so off, and discoveries that should mean something just don't. But okay, the game's dive story mode format isn't to my liking, but how is the story itself? To be honest, it's pretty bland. You're a member of Project Aegis and team up with a fellow diver named Daniel, and under the guise of your AI Sarah, you're sent by headquarters to perform research assignments. But the world coral, a giant coral in a canyon that sustains life in the Veiled Sea, is dying and needs light collected from the creatures in the sea, as well as completing 99 mysteries on an ancient tablet to save it. And, oh yeah, if the coral dies, the entire world could face extinction, and this has been kept from the world populace. That's not the story I was expecting from this game. To be fair, the first two Endless Ocean games had some kind of fantastical element to them, but it was much more about discovering something new and adding something to the scientific or archaeological community. In the rest of the game's world, life is presumably going on as usual. This game's story feels too big for its own good, and I simply don't believe it. I'm supposed to buy that these divers are privy to basically a giant cover-up about the end of the world, and I just don't buy it. I don't buy this plot at all.
I don't buy it.
At the same time, it's not enough to wreck the game because, again, the story and gameplay are so separate from each other that a lackluster story doesn't really affect the bulk of the game. I don't know how they managed it, but somehow keeping the gameplay and story separate from each other created problems and solved other problems. Now, I usually wait to finish a game before I write a review about it. I'm not a completionist or anything, but I like to make it through the bulk of a game before I review it. For Endless Ocean Luminous, I didn't for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that in order to progress further in the story, I need to find all 99 mysteries, and the game doesn't even give you a hint on where to find them. You're supposed to just happen upon them, and some of them you have to find specific tablets. That repeat, mind you. Yeah, even if you find one, you could still run into it even if you're on a completely different map. Just, why? Why put your players through this? I'm just remembering an old Harvest Moon game, Harvest Moon Magical Melody for the GameCube. Fun game, by the way. But in the game, you have to find musical notes in order to revive the town's harvest goddess. But of the game's 100 notes, you only need to find 50 in order to revive the goddess. And then afterwards, the game encourages you to find the rest, even if you don't have to. And the game at least tells you what each note is called, so you have some idea of what you need to do to collect it. In Endless Ocean Luminous, nothing. Just a bunch of question marks. How is anyone supposed to complete this game on their own? I suppose the developers are trying to encourage you to do online play and work with other divers to find everything. But for someone like me that prefers playing on my own, it's just unnecessarily hard. And that's assuming the game doesn't randomly keep shooting me into the same type of map over and over again. I don't shy away from a challenge in video games. Heck, you'll have seen the insanity I've endured between Echo the Dolphin and GoldenEye. But for this game, they're basically asking the impossible.
You want the impossible.
But sure, I can wait and look up walkthroughs and keep an eye on updates and eventually beat this game. But the main reason why I didn't bother to finish this game before making this review is simply, I'm getting bored with it. After a while, the gameplay gets very repetitive, further proving how poor the pacing is. There's no incentive for me to keep playing if there's basically nothing for me to unlock other than stickers, diving suit colors, and another square on the tablet. I can dive in trenches right away. I can explore ancient sites. I can explore caves. After a while, there's no mystery and very limited excitement. Maybe in time I'll finish this game and make another video about the end game, but for right now, I just kinda wanna move on. Maybe even move on to Endless Ocean Blue World. Still need to do that review. Now, I know it seems like I've been pretty hard on Endless Ocean Luminous, but it's by no means a bad game. In fact, I even enjoyed playing it despite my criticisms. But as a fan of the first two games, I can't help but compare it to the previous installments, and it ends up falling short in a lot of areas. I can't help but notice how much is missing, like no dolphin training, no walking on land, no soundtrack by Hayley Westenra or Celtic Woman. I can't help but feel like this game could have been better. But on the other hand, if you're coming into Endless Ocean fresh with no experience with the previous games, then this game is fine. It's still the Endless Ocean experience. It's chill, it's calm, it's got great graphics, lots to discover, and you can play it without running out and buying a Wii or Wii U. But to longtime fans of this series, Luminous, while not terrible, is a bit of a disappointment. I'd recommend getting this game on sale. It's not a bad game, but there are other oceans to dive into while you wait. So what do you think? Have you played Endless Ocean Luminous? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Have you played the other games in the franchise? And how does the new game compare to the old? And what are some of your favorite ocean games? Please, leave comments below and discuss. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Waz Reviews. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends! Until next time...
They like you very much, but they are not the hell your whales.